Hello, welcome back to the Ghosty Girls podcast. I'm Christina.
Oh my god, I'm Alicia. Hi.
Yeah, I'm tired today. We're recording on a different day. So, sippy of the Starbies.
I think it was a rough night for both of us last night. Separate areas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Eagles played and they won. Whoop. Yeah. So I'm hoping that I continue to wake up throughout this episode because I'm struggling a little bit today. I'm not even gonna lie.
Me too. I had to work late last night because of the Eagles game.
Yeah. We're in Eagles Nation over here. So
Go Birds.
Yeah. It was fun though. It was a good game.
Long story long. You didn't know you were tuning into a sports episode, guys.
Oh God, this could never be a sports podcast because I really don't know anything about sports. I watch football and I like football, but I couldn't like commentate or anything.
We got to go to, I'm an ice hockey girl. We got to go to ice hockey game.
I've only been to one ice hockey game. I went to a Flyers game and it was fun because I think there were 2 fist fights.
Yeah, that's why I like hockey.
Yeah. So it was, I enjoyed it. Yeah. Watching some dudes fight.
Bang, bang.
Over nothing. Well, speaking of men, today our focus is on a dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Today, in football terms, they always say the GOAT. Mm-hmm. He's the GOAT. Well, today we're going to talk about the GOAT in regards to murderers who influence pop culture, specifically the horror genre.
You know who's the GOAT of podcasting?
Who? Me?
You.
Thank you. I'm not, though.
But
thanks.
For those of you that don't know what the GOAT means, greatest of all time.
Yep. And this guy, he's the GOAT when it comes to influencing the horror genre. So if it were not for the man we're going to be discussing today, horror movies like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs, and most importantly, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho would never even exist because this man inspired all of them. He inspired Buffalo Bill, Leatherface, Norman Bates. None of these characters would be a part of the horror genre as we know it today if this guy had never existed. And as I was typing out my script, the thought crept up in my sick and twisted little mind. Like, can you even imagine the horror genre and even like the holiday of Halloween without Leatherface costumes?
No.
Like, it's just such a part of pop culture now. Mm-hmm. And like places like the Bates Motel, which is a horror attraction that people go to every spooky season, like that would have been named something totally different, right? Because the Bates Motel is from the movie Psycho. Norman Bates ran that hotel in the movie. Huh. And that movie was based on the book that was inspired by the guy that we're talking about today. So it's like all intertwined.
I don't know how I feel
really
about
cool.
this.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you even imagine like a parallel universe where none of this would have even existed had it not been for Ed Gein?
Ed Gein.
Yeah.
So, yes and no. So I feel like it'd be great if people didn't die to then promote this pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, where would we be without it?
I don't know.
It's almost like they gave their lives for Halloween.
God, but seriously though,
Lord forgive me. I don't know how I feel that I just said that.
But I mean, it's kind of true. Like this Ed Gein is so ingrained in the horror genre. It's wild.
So we hate him, but he has a gentle respect from what he gave us.
I guess that's a good way to put it. It's I don't know. It's a slippery slope.
I don't know how I feel about this. I need to go to church.
It's hard. It makes you uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, I love all those movies. And
do you see how high my shoulders are right now? I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this.
It's hard because all of that came from the story of Ed Gein.
Fuck.
Yeah.
All right. So we're doing it.
Yeah, he's infamous. Like, and I tried to think of adjectives to describe Ed Gein and what he did, and none of it even like comes close to the physical feelings that this story will invoke in your soul.
Boo.
Like, Ed Gein was the very first quote unquote serial killer that I ever read about, and as a child, like this was the first time that I like dipped my toes into the true crime genre, like as far as serial killers go. The book Deviant, written by Harold Schechter, also my main source for this series, was the very first book that I ever read that was about a quote unquote serial killer. And I keep using quotes with the term serial killer because I think the title of serial killer for Ed Gein is giving him a little too much credit.
Yeah.
In my opinion anyway, because Ed only murdered 2 people. And I hate to say only, but like by definition, a serial killer is someone who's murdered 3 or more people. So technically, even though everyone calls Ed Gein a serial killer, he's really not. Yeah, he's more into like grave robbing and making crafts, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here for it. I'm excited.
So this is the story of Ed Gein. Again, this will be a 2-parter because I mean the story is just it's too big and it's too crazy to make it one episode. Like,
I get it.
I'm sorry. I know people don't like 2-parters and 3-parters, but some stories you can't do them justice in one episode.
Too bad.
So in order to really understand Ed Gein and what made him into the monster that we all now know him as, we first must dive into his upbringing and childhood, because it always starts with the upbringing, right? And Ed's childhood does not disappoint in terms of murderers, serial killers, and all around awful people. Most often, the subjects of our episodes have less than desirable childhoods, and Ed is no exception. Edward Theodore Gein was born on August 27th, 1906 in La Crosse, Wisconsin, to parents George and Augusta Gein. Ed was the youngest of 2 boys, and it's said that Augusta was very disappointed when Ed was born because she wanted a daughter. She didn't want boys.
Oh.
So Augusta wasn't too happy being a boy mom to Ed and his older brother Henry. Augusta, in addition to being a very domineering mother, was also extremely religious to the point where she pretty much saw everything and everyone as evil and full of sin.
Why?
Yeah. She relentlessly beat it into Ed's head that all women were quote unquote whores and harlots.
I mean, they are.
Yeah. She said that all the time. Like that was like her favorite word was whores. Women
Really?
are whores. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. She also believed that sex was totally evil. So she really, really put it in the boys' heads that they should not be having sex. They shouldn't be having any sexual feelings at all. Which, I mean, I'm sure you can only imagine the kind of damage that would do to the brain of an adolescent male. Like that's, it's not good, you know? Ed's father, George, didn't really help matters because he was a raging alcoholic, which is another common theme that we see in male serial killers. And George was nowhere near a role model for his 2 boys. Like he bounced around from job to job. He was mainly doing like handyman and carpentry type work, but none of these jobs stuck because his alcoholism always got in the way. Because of George's drinking problem and his inability to have steady work to support his family, Augusta, who was a very robust German woman.
So I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
All I can think of is Willy Wonka and Augustus.
I know.
Eating the chocolate out of the river.
As I was typing this part, I kept hearing oompa, loompa. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. Robust.
It kind of reminded me of the mom in Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
The mom of Augustus Gloop.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of like the stature that Ed's mom had.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like a word that kept coming up and in like my research is that his mother was very like thick. She was a thick and, you know.
So not the Slender Man.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is important because it'll make more sense in part 2 why this is like a huge factor in what happened with Ed.
Okay.
Because he essentially like went after women that reminded him of his mother, like physically.
Oh.
So Augusta, she started having a ton of animosity towards George. She was like actually completely disgusted by him and thought he was a total piece of shit. But back then, you just didn't get divorced like you could today. Like it wasn't a thing. And also, Augusta was super religious, so divorce was a huge no-no. She was just stuck with George, and she was angry about it. She made sure to let the boys know, specifically Ed, what a deadbeat husband and father George was. So she was just like constantly shit talking him.
That sucks.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah. Due to her growing resentment of her husband, Augusta started to hate men in general. So to Augusta, men were evil and women were whores. And that's the mentality that was drilled into Ed's head from a young age. Not a good start.
No, not at all.
Shortly after Ed was born, Augusta decided that La Crosse, the town that the family lived in, was evil, and that Plainfield, Wisconsin, would be a better option to raise her children free of sin. Not really sure why she thought that, but I'm thinking that Plainfield is very like there wasn't a big population there, and also it was like pretty rural. Did I say it right?
You said it.
I hate
Spot
that word.
on. And I am so proud of you.
Thank you. But yeah, I personally believe that Augusta did this purposely to like completely isolate her family, mainly Ed, whom she had this really strange, overprotective, overbearing relationship with.
It sounds like it.
Oh, yeah. Even though Augusta, again, was completely overbearing of Ed, Ed absolutely worshipped the ground she walked on. Augusta could do no wrong in Ed's eyes. He was unhealthily attached, and I would even go as far as to say he was obsessed with his mother.
Ugh.
Very, very strange relationship. So once the family moved to Plainfield, Wisconsin, they were like completely isolated. Augusta even forbade the boys from leaving the farm unless they were going to school. So, I mean, all they did really was like work on the farm, eat, sleep, go to school, come back, and
get yelled at by their mom.
And get yelled at by their mom and beat by their dad because he was an alcoholic.
Oh,
so
that sucks.
yeah, it's really, really shitty life. And this is the part, and I say this in like all serial killer murder episodes where they have a bad childhood. Like, it's okay to feel bad for the child version.
Yeah,
it's okay, you know, because you look at it and you think like, had he had a better childhood, would this have happened?
But
probably not.
If he had a better childhood,
we wouldn't have Leatherface. And I know,
right?
so it's
Where
like,
would our Halloween be?
it's hard. It's so hard.
I know that sounds selfish, but at the same time, like, it really does make you think, though.
I just want everybody to sit for a minute and think of what this world would be like as a horror fan without all of the movies that he inspired. And all of the characters that he inspired. It would be totally different. Like, I know people that like Leatherface is their favorite like horror icon.
I have a mug with him with his, what is it?
He's
chainsaw.
awesome.
It says free hugs.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yep. Inspired by Ed Gein. He wouldn't exist if...
Listen.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
Feel guilty having that mug now.
So Ed did fairly well in school, but he did struggle socially amongst his peers. He had a small speech impediment due to a lesion on his tongue. He had a lazy eye. He was shy. He was reserved. He had no friends. And all of this made him ripe for school bullies. And instead of supporting and helping their son through his issues at school, Augusta continued to manipulate Ed into believing that all the kids were bad and that he needs to stay away from all of them. His father, George, would actually get mad at him for crying about the bullying, and then he would beat Ed for crying about being bullied.
Are you serious?
I'm laughing because that's like just really shitty parenting, and I can't even believe that people like this existed. And I know it's a different time. This was like in 1910 or whatever, but still, like, what the fuck?
People like this still exist, though, too.
They do. Like,
how stupid?
How can you look at your child who is being bullied at school and they're crying and they're heartbroken, and you beat the shit out of them?
I can't.
What?
I can't.
Nope. No words.
Nope.
No words. Like, me as a parent, I'd be wanting to go to the school and beat some ass, you know? Like, I wouldn't, I wouldn't beat her. Like, I just, oh my God. Despite being bullied by classmates, Ed tried really hard to fit in and to make friends. But as soon as he would start talking to his mother about like a little boy that he had been playing with at school, Augusta immediately shut it down and screamed at him about how the boy was evil. And this would effectively result in Ed not continuing to pursue the friendship. And then the friendship would just
fizzle out. Sucks.
Yeah. Ed's classmates would later comment that Ed had very meek mannerisms, more like a female than a traditional male. And this just further ostracized him from the boys at school. Because, like, remember, for that time period, gender roles were really important, you know? I mean, it's still a thing in society, but back then, it was...
Yeah.
Girls acted like little girls, boys acted like little boys, period, you know?
And if you didn't, you were... ostracized.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah. Ed ultimately dropped out of school altogether when he was in 8th grade at the age of 16 years old. And I had to read that a couple times because I was like, in 8th grade at the age of 16?
Yeah, that's
I think when I was 16, I was a junior.
Yeah.
In high school.
Because you graduated at 17 too, right?
I did.
Because we have late birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Ed dropping out of school did absolutely nothing for him in regard to his social development. He was now completely confined to the farm, and his only interactions were with his older brother, his alcoholic father, who was abusive towards him, and a mother that was a mix of the psychotic Christian mother in the movie Carrie and Bobby Boucher's mom in The Waterboy, who was like, foosball's the devil. Like, Augusta is a mix of Carrie White's mom and Bobby Boucher's mom.
Now all of the Waterboy quotes are just flooding my head.
I mean, I love that movie, so
I got a water spoon.
The water sucks. It really, really sucks. So, yeah, needless to say, Ed Gein he was completely fucked. He had zero chance in life. After dropping out of school, Ed's relationship with his mother got even more intense. He began to view all men as worthless and incompetent due to how his father was. And on the flip side, Ed saw women as intelligent, powerful, and capable. This is said to have really messed with his psyche and development, and many people have linked this to his desire to want to be a woman. Because we'll find out later, Ed enjoyed dressing like women so much that he would eventually make masks and skin suits out of female corpses that he would wear around the house.
Don't spoil it.
But we'll get into that. Don't you worry. I'm giving you a little
taste.
A little preview, because this episode is going to be more about his background. The next episode is going to be like, y'all are going to have to hold on to your fucking butts, because some of the shit that I found out in my deep dive, I didn't even know.
That T-Rex is coming.
Yeah, Ed Gein is he's something. He is something. When Ed was in his early 20s, his father, George, died from pneumonia. And his mother, she actually, could not have given less of a fuck. She actually seemed relieved that he was gone. And she told her sons that George was an evil piece of shit who was burning in hell. Verbatim, I bet.
Okay.
But yeah, she told them that he had gone to hell.
That's okay.
Yeah. With her husband now completely out of the picture, Augusta now had total control over the Gein farm. Her relationship with her son Ed continued to deepen, but at the same time, her relationship with her older son Henry really started to fall apart. Henry, like everyone else, thought that Ed's relationship with their mother was fucking creepy. He was disturbed by it.
I get it.
And also, as a kid, he was probably like, why the fuck does my mom pay so much attention and love my younger siblings so much? And I I'm just out here, it's gotta suck.
It breaks my heart. Honestly, it really does.
Yeah. Moms out there, do fucking better. Seriously. Do
get
better.
Your shit together, bro.
Yeah. Get your shit together, Augusta.
Yeah.
Oompa loompa. Sorry. Anywho. So Henry didn't share the same sentiment that women were whores and sex was the devil and blah, blah, blah. And he really started to push back on the idea that he should remain a virgin for his mother's sake. Because at one point, Augusta had insisted to her sons that both of them never have sex because sex is wrong. Henry wasn't having it,
I get it.
Yeah, and he longed to break free of the Gein household and have a normal life. Henry ultimately met a divorced woman who had children from a prior marriage, and needless to say, Augusta was not happy about this new relationship that Henry was in.
Of
no
course
surprise
not.
there. Yeah. So Augusta and Henry were definitely at odds, and making matters worse was the fact that Henry started to become very vocal with Ed about how his weird obsession with his mother was fucked up. He allegedly even had a talk with Ed about how Augusta is not the saint that she portrays herself as, which I can only imagine didn't really go over well with Ed because, again, Ed loved his mom. His mom was his everything. And he enjoyed having all of her attention. His father was now dead, and it was only him and his mom and his older brother, Henry. So, this brings us to May 16th, 1944. Now, the details of this event are murky, but here's what we know. Ed and his brother Henry were working to put out a brush fire that had gotten out of control near their farm. It's unclear as to how the fire started. Some say it was accidental. Some say Ed started the fire. Some say Henry started the fire in an attempt to burn off yard debris. We don't know. But regardless of how it started, the fire got out of control. Ed came running into town, stating that his brother had gotten separated from him whilst trying to extinguish the fire, and now he couldn't find his brother. His brother, Henry, was somewhere lost in the fire.
Oh, no.
So a group of townsfolk agreed to help Ed search, with Ed leading the way. And Ed walks right up to Henry's dead body lying on the ground. So you're saying that your brother is lost in the fire, but yet you literally lead a group of townspeople to his dead body on the ground.
Shady.
Yeah. No search, just, again, directly leads the group of searchers straight up to Henry's body, which, in my opinion, it's a little sus. It's a little sus. When asked by searchers later how Ed had just miraculously led them straight to the body, Ed shrugged his shoulders at them and said, quote, "Funny how that works."
Oh.
Funny how that works. So weird. Tee. Making matters even more questionable is the fact that there were no burns on Henry's body, and even his clothes were completely intact with no evidence of burning. There was, however, strange bruises on Henry's head.
From the fire.
From,
of course.
The fire beat the shit out of him.
I was going to say, the fire was punching him right in the face. Bah.
Yeah. The scene was investigated, but no charges were ever brought against Ed due to the coroner ruling the death as the result of asphyxiation. The bruises on the head were rationalized away by speculation that Henry could have become confused and disoriented in the huge cloud of smoke from the fire.
And punched himself in the face.
And fell and hit his head. But still, residents of Plainfield found Ed's reaction to the death a little concerning because he didn't show any sadness. Like, he didn't really have any reaction to his brother's death, which is, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Listen, I mean, even if you're estranged, I feel like you still feel something.
Yeah. Yeah. What really happened that day, we will never know. Like, I have my doubts about it, but what do I know? I'm just some bitch.
Some bitch.
And with that, Ed finally had his mother all to himself. He didn't have to compete for attention or affection from anyone. And he was, by all accounts, as happy as a clam about it. But this wouldn't last long because shortly after Henry's death, Augusta fell ill. Ed rushed her to the hospital, and it was later confirmed that Augusta had suffered a stroke, which left her very frail. Ugh. Yeah, relying on round-the-clock care from none other than Ed himself.
God, can you imagine?
No.
Being mistreated by your parent for that long and then having to take care of them?
But what's weird, though, is Ed was so manipulated. Ed was manipulated. I made a new word.
I like it.
Ed was so manipulated by his mom that he didn't see it as mistreatment. He was excited to take care of his mom.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, your ass is getting put in a home. Bye.
Not you, Mom. Don't worry.
Yeah, but with Ed, like he was happy about it. He was happy. He loved having his mom all to himself. And
man, this is okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it.
It's said that he even slept in her bed with her around that time, and he would read Bible verses at her request. Augusta never really recovered from that first stroke, and her health continued to rapidly decline until she died on December 29th, 1945, from a cerebral brain hemorrhage after sustaining yet another stroke. So Ed was now completely alone and without his beloved mother. Because Augusta had shut out the world from herself and her family, barely anyone attended her funeral. So yeah, there were very few friends that were there. But the few people that were there said that Ed was absolutely inconsolable.
I mean,
the level of a child. He had resorted to a childlike, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mentality?
Yeah, childlike version of himself. After the death of his mother, Ed's physical and mental state began to deteriorate. People in the town noticed that on the rare occasions that they did see Ed, he was very disheveled and dirty looking. Yeah, he also stopped taking care of the house and the farm, so it was becoming overgrown and just overall unkempt looking, which people attributed to Ed still grieving the loss of his mother. Even worse than the outside of the house was the state of the interior of the house. See, Augusta, when she was alive, she kept the house immaculate. Everything was always clean, always put away, and she was very, very particular about how she kept the Gein farmhouse. She was one of those people that there's a spot for everything. That's where it stays, which I feel like is kind of par for the course for someone that's that controlling.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Ed, on the other hand, he was not as meticulous when it came to housekeeping. And because of that, the house soon became cluttered with trash, old food, empty food containers, bugs, rodents, junk, and filth. Yeah. Think of the TV show Hoarders, and that's what the Gein farmhouse turned into when it got into the hands of Ed. But despite the chaos that was going on in both Ed's home and in his brain, he was able to make ends meet by doing odd jobs around town. So he would do things like plow snow in the winter. He would even work with crews around town, harvesting crops and whatnot. He did handyman work like his dad did. He was kind of maintaining a somewhat normal life, but the men that he worked with, they all found him to be odd. That was the big word that came up with Ed Gein was odd.
It's fair.
I feel like that, even reporters, when they were interviewing people later on, the first thing people would say is, he was odd.
Mm-hmm. We all know that person, too.
Yeah, I know. But one interesting thing that the men later said was that Ed was very squeamish around blood, which surprised them considering the fact that he was a huge fan of true crime magazines. And he would actually try to talk about true crime to anyone who would listen. Whenever the opportunity arose, he wanted to talk about true crime.
So he'd be our friend. Shit.
Yeah. And just a little fun fact. My man Ted Bundy was obsessed with true crime too. With his mother, now dead, Ed was free to live life how he wanted. And he could even drink some beer now without judgment.
Drinking beer, banging bitches.
Banging bitches.
Or dudes. I'm not judging either way.
He was often seen at the local tavern, which was owned by a robust German woman named Mary Hogan. And for reasons that we can only speculate on, Ed became absolutely mesmerized by Mary Hogan, the robust German woman.
Now I can only think of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan and Augustus's mom.
Yikes. So yeah, Mary Hogan, she was a very large, thick, strong German woman. Ed's mother was also a very large, thick, strong German woman. Despite Mary bearing a remarkable physical resemblance to Ed's mother, personality-wise, she could not have been more different. Augusta, as we talked about before, was a righteous, religious woman who Ed would later refer to as all good.
Oh.
Mary Hogan, on the other hand, she was a little rough around the edges. She cursed like a sailor. She had not one but two ex-husbands. She ran a bar. She drank alcohol. And it was even rumored that she was a madame at one point and also had ties to the mob. She seems kind of cool.
I know. I'm not mad about it. I can see her walking. I can't see her, but I can see Augustus Gloop's mom now in a cooler light with
right?
An AR walking into a bar being like, Guten Tag, bitches. Guten Tag.
Yeah. I mean, she she seems kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But she did have what Plainfield residents would call a checkered past. Because, again, this was in the 1950s at this point. Like, she was a little different.
Mm-hmm.
On December 8th, 1954, a patron entered Mary Hogan's tavern for a drink. He walks in. He sees that the place is empty. No Mary Hogan. But what he does find is a huge pool of blood on the floor.
Oh.
Which is never a good thing.
No.
He runs to go call the police, and investigators arrive and discover not only a long streak of blood that looked like a body had been dragged from the tavern to the parking lot, but they also found a .32 caliber cartridge.
Oh.
So they immediately knew that foul play was involved. Despite a thorough investigation, the case went completely cold. They had no idea who killed her or why. I mean, at this point, there was no body, so they didn't even know if, like, maybe she was injured and kidnapped. Like, they had no idea what the fuck happened to her. Mary Hogan was just gone. Local handymen who sometimes work with Ed Gein, they began to bust his balls because they knew that he had somewhat of a crush/obsession with Mary Hogan. And one of them, whose name was Elmo Ueek, which is one of the most...
What?
Yeah. Which is one of the most legendary names I've ever come across in my years of
Say it again.
true crime. Elmo Ueek.
You weak. Elmo, you weak. No, I'm not.
Elmo.
That was my Elmo
Elmo
voice.
go boom. So yeah, this guy Elmo, he said to Ed, you know, if you would have spent more time courting Mary, she would be cooking for you instead of being missing. And to this, Ed responded with, quote, oh, she's not missing. She's down at the house now. And then they all laughed about it.
Oh.
Yeah, because Ed, you know, he was just the weird, quirky loner. But also, like, yeah, he was weird, but he's harmless in their eyes.
Yeah.
Like, he's like the harmless weird guy, you know? No one thought anything of it when he made strange-ass comments like that. He was just fucking weird. He had a weird sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
But little did they know, she may have been chilling in his house.
Yeah, chilling, dead chilling.
Yeah.
Dead chilling.
But we'll get to that.
Oh, man.
On November 16th, 1957. So this is 3 years after the murder/disappearance/whatever of Mary Hogan, because there's no body, so they don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
Ed decides that he's ready to claim another life. And he figured that this day in particular would be best for him because it was the first day of deer hunting season in Plainfield, and that meant that there really wouldn't be anybody in town, specifically any men, because they would all be out hunting. So in Ed's mind, this was the perfect time to kill someone and not be seen by anyone. But he didn't just want to kill anyone. He had a very specific victim in mind. 58-year-old grandmother and widow Bernice Warden owned a hardware store named Warden's, and like Mary Hogan, she was a fairly large woman with a very sharp tongue. She was another one of those females who would take no shit from anyone. And like Mary Hogan, Ed Gein had taken a liking to Bernice, so much so that he began to come into the store a lot and just like hang out and bother her. Like at one point, he even loosely asked her on a date, and she was like, no, thank you,
bruh.
goodbye, get the fuck out. Like, if you're not buying anything, there's the door. Don't let it hit you on your ass on the way out. I can just see her saying that. I made that up, but
Yeah, I like it.
yeah.
I mean, she said it. I was there.
I'm sure she probably did.
100%.
It was no secret that Ed had been routinely coming to the shop to creep on Bernice, and she made it very well known that she wasn't a fan of it. So Ed comes into her shop on the morning of November 16th, 1957, to purchase some antifreeze. So she filled up a jug for him, wrote up a receipt, and that was that. Around 5 p.m. that night, Bernice's son Frank, who, believe it or not, was actually a deputy sheriff, went to the shop to check on his mother after hearing from another resident that the shop had been closed all day. So he's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, my mom's supposed to be at work. And as soon as Frank steps foot in the door, he immediately knows that something is not right. There was blood all over the floor with a trail of it leading to the back door. The storage truck was gone. And on the counter, he found a handwritten sales receipt made out to Ed Gein for the purchase of antifreeze that morning. And immediately, Frank told the police that they had to go speak to Ed Gein. Frank, like everyone else, knew that Ed had been pestering his mother because it's a small town. People talk, gossip travels fast. And that fact, coupled with the receipt that was found on the counter, and also the fact that Ed had actually come to the store the day before and asked Frank if he would be out hunting that morning, which is weird. Frank knew Ed had done something to his mother. He was a deputy sheriff. He was no moron. He was putting all the pieces together. So police go out on the hunt for Ed, and they eventually find him at the local grocery store. The cops ask Ed some questions, and Ed immediately gets like super anxious and ends up like making a reference to Bernice being dead. And the police are like, "Where'd you hear that from?" And Ed's like, "Oh, I just heard it from people talking, around town. No big deal." But Ed's not slick at all. And they also know Ed has like no fucking friends. So the fact that he knew that Bernice was murdered, that was a red flag.
Yeah.
And yeah, it left.
Just waving.
And the police had little doubt that Ed had something to do with the disappearance of Bernice Warden. Meanwhile, more police officers had been sent to the Gein farmhouse. They make their way to the summer kitchen and they find that it's unlocked and they go in. And from a legal standpoint, I immediately was like, whoa, you cannot search anyone's house without a search warrant. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You guys are going to blow the whole case. But then I remembered that this was in the 1950s and things were not as streamlined as they are today. Like now you have to have search warrants and all that shit. Back then it was different. But anywho, the police enter through the door of the summer kitchen. And I'm just going to take a moment to explain what a summer kitchen is because I had no idea and I had to look it up because I always thought that Bernice's body had been found in the shed. And I was like, how the fuck did I remember this case so incorrectly? But it turns out that a summer kitchen is actually a detached building. So it's completely separate from a house. And this building, which can resemble a shed, was used to cook food during the summer so that the actual home wouldn't get too hot in warm weather months. Yeah, these summer kitchens were very popular in German heritage, which makes sense considering Ed's mother was German. So yeah, that's your little life lesson for today. You're welcome. That's what a summer house is. I mean, that's what a summer kitchen is.
Yeah, bitches.
So police enter this summer kitchen, which, like the farmhouse itself, was dirty, hoarded, and had no electricity. And what they found was one of the most vile and macabre discoveries in the history of American true crime.
Macabre.
Macabre. And
I know that's not how you say it. I'm sorry.
And that is where we are going to leave off.
No.
And we'll pick back up next week with the absolute insanity that was found on the Gein property.
Don't Google it. Be surprised.
Yes.
Wait.
And side note, I wanted to use the word macabre a couple of times in this podcast because I actually learned the word macabre from the beginning of the movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Fuck.
Which we all know was inspired by the story of Ed Gein.
Tie back.
That is how I learned the word macabre.
Bray.
Isn't that crazy?
Macabre.
It all goes back to Ed Gein.
This is crazy. I can't.
Next week is going to be crazier.
I don't
saved
love it.
all of the juiciness for the next one. It is going to be a rough listen.
It's going to be as juicy as Augusta's ass. She thick. Sorry.
She was thick. She
You
was
know
a
what?
thick German woman.
Ain't nothing. I'm a thick German woman.
You are not thick. You're skinny. But there is nothing wrong with being a thick German woman or a thick woman, period.
Have you seen my ass?
This is juicy ass. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not thick. I'm big bone. Not juicy.
So before we wrap the podcast up, we would like to announce that merch is live.
What?
It is. Yep.
Merch is live.
I know. It was a labor of love, but
Yes.
here we are. We now have merch.
We have a website.
We have a website. We got a personal email. I mean, we have the Ghosty Girls podcast at Gmail, but now we're going to have another email.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're doing things, guys. We're doing things.
We're doing shit.
I'm going to post the link in the show notes. So anyone who wants to buy some merch, there you go.
Mom, it's up. And I do want to say this. I know we said this, I think in the last episode or whatever. The pricing is as low as we could get it.
Yeah. But whatever
Fine, but-
we make it's going to go right back into the podcast because, you know, we want to get to the point where we can, you know,
Do shit.
yeah, like travel and, you know, any amount of money will help because we're broke ass bitches. So any sugar daddies out there, we're open to it. I'm just kidding.
Starbucks
I already
gift
have daddy
cards.
tea.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check out the merch. Buy yourself a jacket or some bobos.
Or some athletic sneakers that are Ghosty Girl brand.
Yeah, just buy everything.
Yeah.
It's fine.
If you can afford it, we love you. Thank you. We'll make $6, but hey, that's a Starbucks and a slap on the ass. I'll take it.
Is it a Starbucks though? Is it a venti Starbucks?
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, it depends on what you get.
Yeah.
But
I get 8 shots of espresso, so no, not mine.
Jesus.
Half of them are decaf. Don't worry. I'm not that crazy.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Be sure to tune in next week because it's going to be real crazy. It's going to be real crazy.
Well, I need to hear it like stat, so
All right.
hurry up.
Let's end this so we can record the next one because you know we batch recording.
See you next Tuesday.
But don't be one.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye. Hee hee. Come on.